got pretty brown eyes like mint condition. Every chick in here giving you attention. Ooh, and did I mention we can intertwine like my hair extensions? So I wanna dance with you, even though I got these heels on, I still can move. We can pop, pop, lock, lock, drop, drop, drop it to the flow. Gotta let it go. Everybody back, back, hit is some action. Don't wanna get kicked like Michael Jackson. I know you like it, just don't fight it. Way you move, it's just like magic. Spin around, let's get down on it. While the music keeps on, I wanna dance with you across this floor and watch your body move.
Let's get into layers with our speaker today. So, Robynne Parkington is a longtime marketer, designer, and do-gooder. She has a never stop learning attitude that has led her to become a valuable and versatile creative leader, not only here at Creative Mornings, where she's been an organizer before for many, 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 many years, but also just in this city. She's lucky to spend her 9 to 5 as the Senior Director of Marketing at I Live Here, I Give Here, which is the organization behind Amplify Austin Day that we just heard about. And her work helps to promote giving opportunities and programs throughout the city. She's passionate about keeping creative culture here in Austin thriving. As I mentioned, she's served from 2015 to 2023. That's right, 8 years as our venue organizer here with Creative Mornings. And she's also dedicated many hours to organizations like Austin Design Week, Social Media Week, and American Marketing Association. When she's not serving her community, she's sharing a lot of this community with the loves of her life, one of whom's here, Mr. Greg, Lila, and Rosie. Why is Rosie not here? I don't know. Greg. But enough of me. Let's hear from Robynne now. Let's give it up as she begins to share her thoughts on the intersection of layers and creativity. Robynne Parkington.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is really a delight. I am going to talk to y'all about a topic that I'm very passionate about. It is not layers, though. So where's my clicker? Oh, that's right there. But we are going to use layers as a metaphor. It's a really good metaphor. There are also so many types of layers. Who filled out a little form today for some of the layers? Yeah, that's a fun question. Let's talk about what kind of layers are out there. There is fashion, as we saw Brian. There is baking. There's hair. Where are my designers at? Yes, you all know about layers. Oh boy, do you know about layers. So many layers. There are also layers you probably haven't considered. Like, for instance, when I told my husband I was doing this talk, he said to me, "What do you know about lions?" Layers. Same but different. And then there's arguably the most famous layer, in my opinion, and that's Shrek's onion. Yes. I'm going to be using a specific type of layer, though, for my metaphor today, and that is geology. I think geology is amazing. It is the study of the composition of the earth, and it can tell the story of civilizations just by looking at the layers of dirt and debris and sediment that have fallen. Scientists can say this is what happened to civilizations 100,000 years ago all the way to present day. And when we look at the top layer, that's where we're standing right now. That top layer, that truly ugly top layer of present day. I want you to take these pictures, and these are recent photos. And if they make you feel things that you're not happy with, that's what we're getting into today. Today, we are going to talk about how action is the antidote to despair. But we're going to talk about a very specific type of action. It's a type of action that I'm very familiar with, and I feel I can talk to you about 25 minutes about. And that is giving back. Today, we're going to talk about layering generosity into your life. Now, I have worked in the nonprofit sector for half of my career. I also consider myself a generally decent human. So I know quite a bit about layering generosity in your life, and I've seen it in action. And I can tell you that without a doubt, giving back can amplify joy and heal broken hearts in ways that I have never seen. It is incredibly powerful. And if you are feeling so overwhelmed by the world, and you're like, Robynne, I care, but I have to put me first. I just don't have it in me right now. It's a lot right now. I would love to give back, but this, I can barely afford next. I hear you, and this is why I want to give you an example of what I mean by this. Using myself. So this is a geological representation of what layering giving into your life means. This is 40 years of representation. And I just am about to turn 40 on Sunday. So this really especially hits hard. But as you can see, we've got these bands, and you can see at the bottom, this is the key. The bands are purple. Does it look purple for y'all? But anyway, you'll see that there's thickness, and that is how much generosity you're giving at any point in your life. So if we start with my childhood, you'll see that these bands are pretty darn thick. That's because I was raised in an extremely religious home, spent a lot of time at the church, tithing, volunteering. I was also super involved with Girl Scouts. And then when you got into my teenage years, it really thins out. This is that classic teenage selfish angst. I don't care about you, I only care about me. It's what most of us go through, just me. And then we go to college, where the bands slightly thicken a little bit. I was involved with some community groups. But in my 20s, this is where we really start to kind of regain a little bit of momentum. This is when I got my first nonprofit job. I worked for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and then American Cancer Society, where my hot husband. This is also when I started doing endurance events for charity, so running marathons, half marathons, triathlons to benefit nonprofits. And in my 30s, this is when I was really able to ramp up, because the first time in my life I had the capacity to really give back. I had, for the first time, a job that gave me disposable income. As a creative, that is a freeing experience. So guess what? I started giving it away to all kinds of nonprofits, despite my husband asking me not to. I also started just volunteering with every ounce of time I had. Like Ben said, I spent 8 years volunteering here, but I also volunteered elsewhere. I was just giving it all away. And then it starts to, in my second half of my 30s, starts to kind of pull back a little bit. And there are a few reasons for that. The first one is that the pandemic happened and opportunities just kind of fall. The other one is that I became a parent, and that impacts your giving capability, both with time and budget. Now in present day, where we're at, I do work full-time at a nonprofit. We keep a nice modest budget so that we can routinely give back to the nonprofits that are most meaningful to our family. And also I'm a power user of the 5 Calls app. Call your representatives. But this is just one example of what layering generosity can look like in your life. Because you'll notice it's not perfect, it's not linear, it's changed a bit. And that's because as your priorities shift, your giving back is going to shift in your life too. And that's okay, it's your giving journey. Make it what you want. But this is when I also want to talk about the different ways that you can give back, because I didn't just say I only donate and I only volunteer. I talked about other things too. And so in the nonprofit world, we talk about the 5 T's of giving, which are time, treasure, talent, ties, and testimony. Time is what you do with your time to give back. It is mostly related to volunteering, but it can be other things too. Where's Brian? Brian? Show yourself. Hey, there you are. Hey, did you guys know that every single day Brian takes his dog for a walk, and every single day he picks up trash around his neighborhood while on that walk? I know this because every single day he posts it on Instagram. By the way, Brian, I've been meaning to talk to you about you need to carry a bag or wear gloves. I'm very concerned for your health. The things you are touching they're not right, man. But also there's treasure. This one's monetary. This is making those donations. And then we've got talent. I think this one's going to resonate most with y'all, the creative crowd in this room. Talent is a number of things, but it's giving back with your skills. So it could be joining a nonprofit board. It could be joining a nonprofit committee and helping with their strategy or their marketing or their design. It could also be offering a discount to good like nonprofits or other organizations so that you're still paying yourself and paying it forward. It could be donating a piece of your work to a charity. There are so many cool ways to give back. And I think that's so amazing as creatives. But here's what I'm going to say, something a little controversial. Giving back is self-serving. And I say this because, yes, giving back, there's so many awesome opportunities, but also it makes you feel so good. Ooh, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good, though, at a chemical level, and that's just science. There are so many studies around it that talk about how giving back increases your oxytocin and your serotonin and your dopamine. You can quite literally get high off of generosity. That's my favorite. It is good stuff. But giving back doesn't just make you feel good, it makes other people feel good, which is why so many people continue to do it. You know, when we think about the person, like the most philanthropic person you know. What do we normally say about that person? They are so selfless. I'd like you to change that mentality. They are not selfless. They are the most fulfilled because they are giving of themselves and they feel so good. And then they are passing that giving forward, and so the person who's on the receiving end is feeling good. And it is like joy on joy, win on win, and it feels so good. And you know what my favorite part about joy is? Joy is an act of resistance. Joy is petty. Oof, I love the pettiness of joy. And earlier when we talked about how action is the antidote to despair, joy is the result of that action. And joy is what's going to keep us fighting the fight. Now that is so motivating to me, but I know it's not motivating to everyone. And as a marketer, I love to uncover people's motivations. And so I often ask, why do you give back? Do you want to give back? How do you give back? And what I've learned is that giving back can be really hard for a lot of people. So if it makes you feel so good, and if there are so many different ways you can, and it doesn't have to be perfect and happen all the time, why is it so hard to give back? There are a number of reasons why, but the one I hear the most common is that it's hard because giving back is hardest when you don't know where to start. There is a lot of need in this world. We're constantly hearing about it. I mean, there were 4 people up here today just asking for money. Doesn't make any one of them less valuable. So how do you choose? Well, that's what I'm trying to uncover every day at my job. I work for I Live Here, I Give Here. Have you all heard of us? Awesome, wow, thank you. I Live Here, I Give Here is a local Austin nonprofit. Our entire goal is to make sure that people in the Central Texas area feel inspired and capable of giving back. And so we try to make giving back super easy, super accessible. And we do this through a variety of programs and resources and content. You can follow us at I Live Here, I Give Here, or visit ilivehereigivhere.org. But we can do this because we partner with over 750 local nonprofits. And these nonprofits are able to tell us exactly when they need volunteers, exactly when they have an event that they want you to come to, like UMOF's event, exactly when they have board openings or need more support. And we can then facilitate that messaging out and amplify it into the public. But we also believe that if you love where you live, you should love where you give. And that means having to find a nonprofit or a cause that aligns with your personal values. And so we have a database called amplifyatx.org where you can type in your interests, keywords, things you're particularly passionate about, and it is going to populate with local nonprofits here in the Austin and Central Texas area that align with those values. And I mentioned amplifyatx.org, and Candace did such a good job of telling you about Amplify Austin Day, and because I have the mic and it's so important, I'm going to mention it again. Amplify Austin Day is coming up on March 5th and 6th, and for 24 hours, we're trying to raise $10 million for 750 nonprofits. And so if you're going to go to amplifyatx.org anyway to find some cool nonprofits that you can start giving back, this is a great place to start. And we talk a lot about how you can just give $5, that it really does make a huge impact, and I'm dead serious that it does. Because when you give $5 and you give $5 and you give 100, or for no pressure to 100, by the way. But when we all come together and collectively give, the power is incredible. Impact is driven by collective community impact, and that's because giving back should not just fall on one person. It is not up to you to solve the world's problems single-handedly. We have to work together to solve these issues. Now, before we go, I want to tell y'all 2 stories to just put it into perspective about, again, what giving can look like in your life. I am going to warn you, these are both cis-het white men. There is a purpose for this. Everything I do is intentional. The first one is Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, you might be familiar with. He passed away just a few months ago at the amazing age of 100. And as he was being eulogized, I was reminded that the most remarkable thing about Jimmy Carter is that he was the 39th president of the United States, and that was one of the least significant things he did. This man lived an amazing life for the betterment of humanity, and he used his privilege for it. One of my favorite stories about Jimmy is that when he was 95, he took a fall in his home. That's not my favorite part, by the way, him falling. That's terrible. But he took a fall, had to go to the hospital, had to get stitches. But the next day, he had a commitment with Habitat for Humanity. And he still showed up, battered and bruised. The pictures are on the internet. They're there. He showed up because to him, giving back, laying down a generosity layer was more important to him than anything else. Now, Jimmy Carter is incredible. He literally changed the lives of millions of people, and I'm here to tell you that that is not going to be practical for most of us. This is not what a giving journey is going to be for a lot of us. It can be, and that's amazing if it is, but that's why I have one other story for you. This is Stephen Trifoletti. Most of you are probably not familiar with this man. He lived a very normal life, grew up in working class Oklahoma. He was super involved with Boy Scouts. In fact, he loved Boy Scouts so much that that was his first job out of college, working for them. He then joined the United States Air Force and found the church much later in life and started getting his family involved with volunteerism. My favorite story about Stephen is that he was very passionate about sobriety because of some trauma he experienced in his early years. And so whenever he'd be invited to a party or an event, he would always show up with a cooler of his own with non-alcoholic options, just so that nobody felt pressure to drink if they didn't want to. And I just always thought that was such a cool, thoughtful thing. Just a small little layer of generosity. Then there is the fact that when he was 59 years old, he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And everything changed. He had to be forced into early retirement. He had to stop volunteering. He had to put himself first and prioritize his own health and what the future of his family was going to be. And as he was going through those years, he discovered that there were things he could still do to give back. He started advocating with the Alzheimer's Association, and he also started volunteering to do studies with the VA hospital on the impact of war on veterans. Stephen is still alive, but he is in an end-of-life care unit for disabled veterans. And I don't know how many people he impacted. I have literally no idea. But I do know at least one person that he did. You see, earlier when I was telling you about how I was really involved with the church growing up, about how I was in Girl Scouts, about how I was running marathons and everything for charity, I was doing them with him. I was doing them with my dad. You see, my dad didn't know, and he doesn't know now, that every single time he layered down generosity, I was watching. And that he was building a foundation and a legacy of love that I could take forward and impart in my own life. You don't realize it, but giving back is also building a legacy of love in your own life, and it's important. The worst part about choosing geology as your metaphor for life is that you have a very stark realization that you are really just a piece of dust in the grand scheme of things. And that sucks. Because you start to wonder, like, do I matter? And the reality is that you do matter. You matter so much. You matter, your actions matter, Those contributions matter. They matter to the people that are feeling them on the other end. They matter for your own health and well-being. They matter for the people who are sitting by your side watching you do it and secretly feeling inspired. It all matters. In geology, when you look at an arch or a bridge, when there is a collapse, it's because there is a failure in one of the layers. But also, a layer can be cracked, and the formation can still be sustainable. And it's because that crack is surrounded by other strong layers. And that's just like in life. Our actions, when combined, no matter how you feel the worth or the weight of your particular action is, it matters, especially when it is layered in with other people's actions. That is what it's going to build the foundation for our future. That is what's going to change and push moving forward. Your actions matter, and they will impact the future for better or worse. And so because of that, I'm asking you just to layer a little bit of generosity into your life. And then you have ties. And I love ties because it is the lowest thing you have to do with the highest yield of impact. And I'm dead serious about this. How many of y'all have ever lost a job? Just me? Oh, great. We're all in this together, y'all. The last time I lost a job, when I was unemployed, actually a friend from Creative Mornings, Polly Thurston, she was a former volunteer as well, she sent me a DM and said, hey, my company is hiring. And I got that job. That was her using her ties, using her connections, her network, to pass on generosity to someone else. I love ties. It's just using your network to give back. And then testimony is one of my favorites. This is your activism and your storytelling. Testimony is perfect for people that just love to sit on their couch and doom scroll while TV is on in front of them. This is great because you can follow any nonprofits or organizations or movements that you love. You can engage with their content. You can subscribe to their newsletters and Substacks. And all you have to do is help spread the word and amplify it. It's a matter of sharing and liking, engaging, and educating other people about the passionate things that you love. And those are them. Thank you.